And welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I'm your host, WIZE. My next guest is a renowned American entrepreneur known for his groundbreaking contributions to the tax preparation industry. Welcome to the show, John Hewitt. Hello.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure's mine. Pleasure's all mine. So can you share the story behind finding Jackson Hewitt Tax Service and Liberty Tax Services?
Sure. It's I just finished my 55th tax season, so long before you were born. So I started when I was at the University of Buffalo. I took an H&R Block tax course. I loved it. And 12 years later, I was running 250 H&R Block offices. Loving life. I found what I wanted to do. And my dad was the CFO of a public company. He decided we should computerize taxes. So in 1981, we quit our jobs and built the first tax software for an Apple computer. No one wanted it, way ahead of its time. Got lucky and found a firm in Virginia Beach called Mel Jackson Tax Service, 6 offices. He had died. We bought the company from his widow and merged the computer company and Mel Jackson, changed the name to Jackson Hewitt, went public, and 15 years later, we sold it for $483 million.
Wow.
Today, Jackson Hewitt has 6,000 locations, 23rd largest retail franchise chain in the country. I had a non-compete that lasted 3 years, but it didn't cover Canada. And having grown up in Buffalo, I knew the Canadian tax system. I had done Canadian returns. We opened Liberty Tax in Canada, and within 3 years became a top 100 firm in Canada with Liberty Tax. In 2000, came back to the United States when my non-compete ended, and now I had to compete against myself, my name, my software, my system, my people, and yet not only did we grow faster than Jackson Hewitt, we grew faster than them and H&R Block combined. We opened for 12 years. We opened almost one new location a day, 4,000 offices in 12 years. Top 10 fastest growing franchisor ever. And we, again, public company, again, worth $500 million. Again, I sold my stock, and now we have loyalty brands, and we have 8 different brands. And our 2 fastest growing brands today are ATAX. I've been in tax 55 years. I'm fastest growing again. But also even growing faster is our Zoom and Groomin' mobile dog grooming. So that's my 55 years in a nutshell.
Wow. So as an entrepreneur, what value and principles have guided your journey to success?
Wow. There's numerous keys to my success, but I think the number one thing the number one thing is perseverance. That everyone gets knocked down. I never met anyone or saw any story where someone just skated through life. Everyone faces adversity. Everyone gets knocked down, and winners always get up. And they got to kill me to stop me. So perseverance is the number one attribute of my success. But there are a number of attributes. There's drive. There's competition. My book is iCompete. I love to compete. And so also one of the things that is unique about me that doesn't apply to everyone is I always want what's best for the other person, whether it's an employee, a customer, a franchisee, a vendor. I always want what's best and when it's best for me too, that's a huge victory. But I always want what's best for the other person.
Awesome. So how do you approach innovation and staying ahead of the competition in anything you do?
I didn't hear your question.
how do you approach the innovation and how do you approach innovation and staying ahead of the competition in any of the fields that you're in?
That's very important to me because my goal, and I think I've achieved this for 55 years, is always to have the best system in my industry. And to have the best system, it has to be improving. And so I improve in a couple ways. Number one is I'm always watching the world around me. I mean, Sam Walton said in his book, Made in America, he said, you don't just watch your competitor, you watch every customer experience you have. So at Walmart, he watched when he was on a plane, in a hotel, at a restaurant. You learn from every customer experience. So that's and it's my job as a CEO and founder to take the pulse of what's going on in the industry and especially in technology. So, but in addition to that, as important, if not more important, is you need to listen to people that are closest to the customer. I, my firms have done over 100 million tax returns, but I just do one every year on October 15th, and I give that guy a great discount. So you need to we call in our franchisees and our tax preparers and say, tell us how to improve. Tell us how to improve our tax software. Tell us how to improve our technical support. Tell us how to improve our tax support. Tell us how to improve our marketing. And we embrace criticism and commit to improve each year.
Well, being married to a tax preparer, I know how much every year she's learning something new. There's something new software for her to learn, or something new for her to learn. So it was cool when she found out I was interviewing you. She was like, "Oh, really?" I mean, because she actually worked for Liberty Tax, and so she was like, she was looking forward to me interviewing you.
That's awesome. What part of the country?
We're in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, both Jackson Hewitt and Liberty are in all 50 states.
Yeah. All right. So what inspired you to transition from building tax preparation companies to mentoring entrepreneurs?
I sort of did it by accident. I was having dinner with one of my employees at both Jackson Hewitt and Liberty, and he had left long before I did. And he was an attorney and a franchise attorney, and he went out on his own, and he was representing. So during my non-compete, he was representing about 35 franchise companies. He said, "Why don't you get out of tax? You've done that for 50 years. Why don't you get out of tax? What, I have a company that has a great system, but in 13 years they only have 13 franchises. So they could use this couple, this very nice couple could use a partner to help grow the business." And so I began to partner with franchisors that were very young and developing, and mentoring them, and bringing in our systems, our methods. So and I liked it. And there's a lot of cross marketing that we do. That, for example, our Zoom and Grumman largest franchisee has 5,000 customers. They all need a tax return. And our largest tax office does 4,000 returns, and 2,400 of them have pets. And so they need pet grooming. So there's a great opportunity to cross market our brands.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody does have a lot of people that's part of the family of their pets.
Exactly. Oh, people, when you survey the public, people like their pets better than their children. Most people like their pets better than their children.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you discuss the concept of building empires for the King of Kings, and is its significance in your work?
The key thing that drives me is giving back. That I've been blessed with incredible blessings. I didn't do this just because I was the greatest. I just was the hardest working or the smartest or the most educated. I did this because of blessings that I have. And so to whom much is given, much is expected. So, many people, certainly most people my age, have long retired. And again, I said they got to kill me to stop me. I'm in the prime of my knowledge, business knowledge, and ability to help people. I've created over 1,000 millionaires. So I've given back, and you know what? Many, and most of them have paid it forward. We're changing the world. We're making the world a better place. And I've had, in addition to think of the 5,000 franchisees I've had, they've had 100,000 employees. So we're just changing lives and giving back. And our mission statement is having fun, improving lives. And when we talk about improving lives, we don't mean we mean ourselves. We mean our employees, our franchisees, our customers, our stockholders, our vendors, and the world around us.
Yeah. What advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur looking to start their own business?
Comes down to these simple things. Number one is find something you love to do, work hard, persevere. Life is way too short. If on Monday morning you're going to work and you're not looking forward to it, you're going to the wrong place. And so find somewhere. There's a place for all of us to be extraordinary. Find your extraordinary place, and then work hard. Everything worthwhile requires hard work. And again, perseverance is the number one attribute to success. Everyone gets knocked down. Winners get up each and every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you foster a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation within your organization?
Wow, that's culture is a very, very important thing to me. Tom Watson Sr., the one of the founders of IBM, said, "Give me 100 great engineers, or a choice between 100 great engineers or 100 people with great attitude, and I will pick the people with great attitude, because you can teach engineering, you can't teach attitude." And one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my career is trying to change dozens of people's attitude. Never, I mean, I've done it for a day or a week or a month, but they pop right back into that bad attitude. And they're toxic to the rest of the organization. So culture, the culture of an organization is a huge asset. And all the greatest companies have great cultures.
Yeah. One that we both love is the Yankee culture. We seen when George Steinbrenner came in and he flipped the culture over there, made sure they were shaven, that no hair belong above their shoulders. So you can see that when you switch the culture in the organization, how much of an impact it has on the overall performance of everyone.
And it's still there. There's no. I watch some of the Yankee game just about every night, and none of them have a beard.
No.
So yeah, they're that culture, that the Bronx Bombers, that culture is special. They're the most winningest team in all of professional sports.
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts with culture. It definitely starts with culture there. What role do
Exactly.
mentorship what role do mentorship and networking play in your entrepreneurial philosophy?
Yeah, it's incredibly important to me that because in the journey of business. There's no school to teach you to be a CEO in this country. I mean, MBA is not nowhere near what a CEO is. And so I learned to be a CEO by the school of hard knocks. I tell my people, I didn't have me to help me when I was building all this. So you got me to help you. And so there's so much reward in answering questions and helping people. And yet, the toughest thing to do is get people to listen. That they say that smart people learn from their mistakes. Well, I don't know that many smart people. And then even less, they say wise people learn from the mistakes of others. There's very, very few wise people. But we ask, as a franchisor, my job again is to build the best system. If I do my job, and I've been doing that for 55 years, I'm proven, then your job is to listen. And yet, out of the 5,200 franchisees I brought into my career, not one has listened 100%. So you have to fight your human nature to think you know better. But I'm going to mentor you as long as you listen. When you stop listening, I stop mentoring. It's a waste of my time after that.
Yeah, it's important that if they're not listening, then yeah, like you said, it is a waste of your time, because you're going to be spending that time with someone else who is going to listen and who will appreciate the value that you're giving them. Because like you said, you've experienced it. Like you wish, like for me, when I started podcasting, I didn't know anyone podcasting, didn't know anything about podcasting, but I went to YouTube University, started doing the research on what are RSS feeds, what it took for me to improve and get better at podcasting. And so when I started my production company, my goal was to help other people like me who started out not knowing anything about podcasting. Now I've experienced it, I've gone through it. Let me help you start your podcast. And it's been a great experience to be able to help a few people who start their podcast and avoid the pitfalls that I started with, because like I said, I didn't know anything about it. So I had to go through the process and learn it. And now I'm able to show other people how to avoid certain situations.
And that's part of giving back.
Yeah. Can you share some memorable moments or milestones from your entrepreneurial career?
Wow, keep in mind it's 55 years. So
I'm sure you got so one or two in there.
Well, certainly, when I won Entrepreneur of the Year for the International Franchise Association, they're the premier franchise organization, their International Franchise Association. They have 4,000 members, and they've only had 35 entrepreneurs. Every year they have a Entrepreneur of the Year for about 35 years, and I was named one of the 35 entrepreneurs of the year, and I had to speak in front of 2,200 people. That was a little scary, but so that was one. Secondly, when I hit the milestone of bringing in 5,000 franchises, I'm don't know anyone that's ever done that. I know for sure one thing I've done that no one has done is I've founded two of the top 100 retail chains in the United States, franchise retail chains in the United States. And I guess the fourth one is ringing the bell on NASDAQ a couple times. So those are kind of four momentous kind of things that I look back on, and with humility and appreciation.
Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, you've two of the franchises that you started, Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Taxes, are well known. Are these are companies that are known. And so how is it that you build two iconic brands?
It's again, it starts with having a vision of what's possible, and then having a niche, right? When I
Yeah.
started competing with H&R Block in 1982, they had 9,000 locations, and the second biggest competitor only had 200. So it's obvious that there's a vacancy
Yeah.
in every industry. There's an opportunity for 2 or 3 or 4 vendors, and so I built that now has 6,000 locations. So now when I started Liberty Tax, I mean, there's no other. It was just Jackson Hewitt and Block. There was no one that had even 100 locations, and so there's room. There's always room for. I mean, you have McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's. You have Walmart and Target and Kmart, right? There's always room for at least 3 or 4 or more, and in some industries, there's dozens of national competitors, like real estate, for example. There are dozens of real estate firms that are national. So there's always an opportunity. So you have to have a fairly accurate vision of the future. You have to see a fairly accurate opportunity, and then you have to convince everyone to jump on board. Your investors, your employees, your franchisees, your vendors, your customers. You have to be convincing and get people on board. And it's not a short trip. So you have to have integrity and do what you say you're going to do, or that you could convince everyone in the world, but if 5 months later you haven't done anything, then you got nothing. So you have to have a fairly accurate vision. You have to have integrity to meet those numbers, and then you have to get everyone to buy in.
Awesome. So, so how do you balance risk taking and strategic planning in business decision making?
Yeah, that's interesting because you have to be careful. Most two-thirds of Americans want to be self-employed, but only half of the people that want to be self-employed can. And the biggest reason they can't is they're not risk takers. When something goes wrong, and everyone, I think we all kind of wear rose-colored glasses when we're entrepreneurs, and we think things are going to be great, and we see great success. But there's always barriers and everything that can. I mean, Murphy's law is everything that can go wrong, or the worst, everything can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible moment, right? The most difficult thing that could go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible moment. So stuff goes wrong, and risk takers, they fold up their tent and go home. And so it's a very difficult to keep confidence in stormy waters, in a hurricane, in a tornado, it's when times are tough around you and everyone else is scared and falling down and running away. It's tough to stand up and move forward.
Yeah, and it's like how you said, when you take that risk and a lot of people fail at it, they just, like you said, just give to full tent and leave instead of picking themselves up and continuing on their journey and taking whatever lesson it was that they were learning from this experience. How do you, let me see, so how can someone like, okay, so we know that being an entrepreneur, you're actually going to work harder than you would at a 9-to-5 job. You're actually going to work more hours because you're the person that has to do it all. So how is it that someone, I know eventually you have to build up a team, sometimes you got to learn how to give up certain things in order to advance.
Right. So you have to, exactly, the without a team you're nothing, right? Because I can't do everything myself.
Hmm.
You have to have people that do the work. I mean, if I didn't have people, and I built companies to up to 500 people, 500 employees, and that was only, and then during the tax season we had 10,000 employees because of all the tax preparers. So you have to have the ability to delegate and lead, set example, and nurture people and help them improve. You can't be committed to just improve yourself. You have to improve all the people around you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You definitely have to build up those around you. So, what are some common misconceptions about entrepreneurship that you've encountered?
Um, I think that people don't understand how difficult it is. That that there's no boss. There's no one to tell you what to do, and so you have to be independent self starter, right? If you need to be there at 6 a.m. on Monday morning, no one's telling you to do that. You have to be structured enough and mature enough and driven enough to continue to do the right thing, even when no one's, you're not reporting to anyone. You're the boss. The buck stops here. And so one is you have to be driven and self-starting, but also you have to embrace criticism. When things go wrong in your organization, you're always going to get part of the blame, if not all the blame. And in having done 100 million tax returns and having 10,000 offices, I got a lot of blame. And so you have to embrace criticism. And really, when you think about it, if you're committed to improve, it's hard to improve if no one ever criticizes you.
Yeah.
So criticism's a good thing. That you need people to criticize you and hold you accountable to be stronger.
Yeah, that's the only way you're gonna improve is to learn where you're failing at, where are your weakest areas, and some people just don't know how to take criticism. They feel like you're attacking them when in all actuality it's just trying to help you become a better person or entrepreneur, whatever it is. And so sometimes you have to take some criticism.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I get criticized. There isn't, of all the 5,200 franchisees I brought in, not one has ever just given me a pass like I did everything right. All of them are either disappointed or angry or upset or know better than me at some point. So you have to, my favorite Shakespeare is this above all, to thine own self be true. You have to do the right thing, even though everyone's not going to agree. I mean, you can never get a large group of people to agree. So you have to always do the right thing.
Yeah, yeah, you're not gonna make everybody happy. Everyone's not gonna be happy with you. Just some
Exactly.
people.
And that's yeah, it's you're never gonna please everyone.
Yeah, definitely not. So loyalty brands. Tell us about loyalty brands.
Yeah, we have 8 different franchise systems. And again, the I've learned that the 80/20 rule, that two of them are very fast growing, and the others are everyone's in growing, but the two fastest growing are tax, which my tax companies have always been the fastest growing. But I
Hmm.
really fell in love with pets. I love the pet industry. And in mobile grooming, I asked, we're already in 2.5 years, we're already in 25 states and 70 cities. And I ask every new franchisee in your area, call around and see how long it takes to get an appointment to be groomed, or to get your dog groomed or cat. I mean, some cats are groomed too.
Yeah.
And everywhere in the country, it's 3, 4, 5 weeks, or you can't even get an appointment.
Oh yeah. Actually, one of my coworkers, his wife is a dog groomer, and she's getting ready. She's a couple of years. I think she's getting ready to retire, and so this is an area. This is an area up here because there's a lot of people have pets up here in Pennsylvania in this area, and to me that's a great, and that would be a great investment. And but like you said, but you have to have the passion for it. You gotta have the passion of wanting to deal with pets and deal with owners.
Every one of our owners, we just passed 100 owners this month. Every one of our owners has a dog. They're all consistent. They have an animal.
So what are your future goals and aspirations, both personally and professionally?
My goal in each of our brands is to be number one in that industry. And in some industries, very, very difficult. Like H&R Block has 9,000, and Jackson Hewitt has 6,000. So to be number one in that industry is very, very difficult. But in pet grooming and mobile grooming, they're the largest one only has a couple hundred. So by the end of this year, in less than 4 years, we'll be number one in the industry. And
Wow.
within 5 years, we'll have thousands of vans around the country.
So do you help your franchises get the vans and it's everything, and it's a system? So yeah.
Sure. When you use that phrase, when you say, "Do you help your franchises?" the answer is always yes. Whatever they need, we have a system for getting it. So we systemize everything. So yes, if you say, "Do you help? Do you support? Yes. If they have a need, we satisfy that need.
Awesome. All right. John, thank you for being a guest. This has been amazing. Now is the part of the show where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find Loyalty Brand, everything.
Well, let me say this, that the easiest way to get a hold of me is LinkedIn, or you can reach out to us at loyaltybrands.com. I also do a webinar every Thursday where I answer questions and mentor people, and you can sign up for that on our loyaltybrands.com website. If you want a copy of my book, it's called iCompete. If you send me an email to john@loyaltybrands.com, I will send you a free book. So thanks. Those are the ways to contact me.
Awesome. Thank you for being a guest. I greatly appreciate you coming by and sharing your story and talking about you've impacted a lot of people's lives. You have.
Thousands.
You've definitely made a change, and you're still going strong, man. What inside of you is, because I'm sure you like you said, you've been doing this for 55 years. What inside of you can just like has that fire still burning after all these years?
I'm obsessed with winning, and I'm committed to change it. And the most fun I have in life is changing people's lives.
Well, that's awesome. That's a amazing reason why. That's an amazing reason why to do it. So
thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm looking forward to my wife seeing it and see if she approves of how I interviewed you. So
thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too. You have a great day. Wait. All right. That was John Hewitt, man. That was a informative episode. I'm so excited to be able to interview him. So hopefully everybody had a good time. Shout outs. Shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Shout out to the boss lady. I interviewed him. See, I told you I would interview him, baby. Appreciate you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.